Listen, hey, welcome to the 5th Banko Hoppy Hour. We have a special edition of the Hoppy Hour. I'm Joe Marino, Vice President of Sales, also known as the Godfather of Beer. And we're here with some special guests. So to my right, we have Mike Mamula, former Philadelphia Eagles, #1 draft pick, first round draft pick, but highly recruited. And to his right, we have Crockett.
Hello.
And
also
to his right, yes, also, and then maybe even high. Yeah. And also, and then we have Moses, Sammy Malone.
Hey, that's fine too.
We have Sammy Malone, and we're here at the beautiful Buckeye Tavern, and we're here live, and we're here with our friend, our host, Terry Bender. Terry Bender and the Buckeye Tavern are longtime friends and actually customers of Banko Beverage. And we're here with Cat Country, a 20-year partnership with Banko Beverage and a 20-year partnership with Cat Country and the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're here just to do a little podcast for talk about Miller Lite, the relationships of Miller Lite and Banko Beverage and the Philadelphia Eagles. And Mike's here to spice it up a little bit and give us some Eagles talk. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Sam or Crockett. They can arm wrestle to figure out who go first.
Hand it off to the professionals?
Absolutely.
Where
are
they? Sure. Yeah. They didn't get here. I think they're stuck on the turnpike.
Yeah, they might be.
Is it that bad, Mike? Is it that bad? Okay. So go ahead. I'll tell you what, I'm going to kick it to Sam.
You're going to kick it off to me first.
I'm going to kick it off to you, Sam.
Well, thank you for having us here. Of course, thank you. Everything you said, over 20 years partner with you guys, partner with the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, Eagles Radio Network here every game on the Cat. And of course, you know, it's great to be out. And it's great. Crockett and I do this every week. We talk about the Birds recap we do on our Cat Country 96 page and WLEV page as well. And it is something nice, Crockett. We're the experts, every now and again, but we actually have an expert with us this afternoon, which is nice.
A former player. I don't know about expert.
More expert than us.
I've got to say podcast expert, though, because the first thing Mike did right as we were about to start, he was going to put it down.
Yeah.
And then he put that Miller Lite right smack dab in the middle of the table, label out.
I turned the label.
That's good.
Not this Cowboys first rodeo over
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
So, Mike, first of all, thank you for being here today, because this is really awesome. Middle of the season right now. Eagles are sitting at 6-2, 5-2, looking to get to 6-2. Just that, from being a professional athlete, middle of the road of a season, you have your ups, you have your downs. Obviously, especially with this team and Nick Sirianni and all the things that kind of went on getting to this point, feels like this team is finally rolling. That middle of the season vibe right about now, where do you think the Eagles are at?
So the way I was looking at it was after that Giants game, they got confidence, and I felt like it was. You could see it in the faces of the guys when they were being interviewed after that game. It seemed like something clicked, something that got something. So then last week happened, they won, and I think they're gonna start rolling after this. The offensive, defensive coordinators systems are finally baked in, and they're actually seeing what works best for Jalen, and the guys that are out there actually playing. A couple games that they were hurt, so I think it's just gonna roll after this.
Any real significance, and we talk about it every weekend, it seems like, not scoring in the first quarter. Is this something that's eventually going to catch up to the Eagles, or are we just taking it week by week at this point, in your opinion?
Week by week. I mean, it seems like, if that works for them, great. But, it doesn't work for anybody else that's watching.
That's right. Good point.
I'm curious. We're about midway through the season, as I'd mentioned, and that trade deadline is just around the corner. And I think one of the things that people all want to see is, even as the Eagles are rolling right now, everybody, there's the Myles Garretts or the Max Crosbys and some of the big names that are out there. I'm interested to know your take, because in the NFL, having to learn a playbook, play with 11 other or 10 other guys on one particular side of the ball, a trade in the NFL might not be so easy to adjust to versus, if you're getting traded in basketball, you've probably got 30 games before the playoffs where you can figure out your teammates and all those things.
Well, the guys that you mentioned, I mean, that's what position I played, defensive end.
Right.
And it depends on the system. Like with Jim Johnson, there would have been a large learning curve. But with the other defenses I played in, you have the outside, you got to figure out when you go inside, and you just run and you make plays. You don't really have to think that much.
Yeah.
So in that position specifically, I don't think there's going to be a huge drop off as far as knowledge-wise.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my point. Is some people will especially get lost in whether it's a wide receiver or a quarterback or a middle line, somebody that's got to know the playbook really inside and out. I think that's kind of the one thing that maybe gets lost at the NFL trade, because it spikes. You get the baseball's trade deadline, players are moving. Hockey, basketball, players are moving. The NFL, it's not so simple there's some positions that I would say, yes, I would say particularly along the line of scrimmage, probably a little easier to jump in, tap the guy next to you, just be like, which way are we going? And knowing that.
Plug and play.
Right, exactly. Versus a receiver, back-end player in a secondary where that communication is so important.
Yeah, you see it with, what was it? Who did the Bills just pick up? Cooper?
Yeah, Amari Cooper.
And who's the other big one? It was
Devontae Adams, yeah.
So it took them, I mean, you can see the first week they were, just treading along, asking questions on the side, on the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
So in that regard, it's, that would be tough.
And it's amazing, too, how 1 week can change a potential trade. You hear the stories about so-and-so, maybe from the Rams coming to the Eagles, but the Rams now, with, playing better football now, Cooper Kupp is off the trade talks now, too. So that one win kind of, why would they even be looking at a wide receiver was my question, too, at this point, during a trade deadline, more so than...
Maybe depth.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
I don't know. And it seems like the guys that are looking at were the undercut guys. And
Okay.
I still think Jahan Dotson is a guy that at some point is going to have himself a day. It hasn't been what I think you trade a third-round pick. I think you have a lot of expectations around that. But I think at some point he's going to have himself a day where he really shows up on the stash. And credit to him, he's had some plays that I think he's only got 35 yards receiving, but you could see how his route has influenced other things because you have to worry about the other receivers that are out there. As a defensive player, when you're getting ready to try to figure out, especially if you were going up against the Eagles this week and you're in a Jacksonville Jaguars uniform and you're looking at Jalen and Saquon and AJ and Devontae, and that's not even with Dallas Goedert, who's probably not going to be in the lineup.
Right. Yeah, he's out.
How do you even decide where your point of attack, your focus point is going to be from a defensive player standpoint?
I think that it starts at the coordinator level where they see, is Lane Johnson still out?
No, he's active.
Yeah, he's
in.
active. Yes,
he's going to be back. So I was going to say that would be something that
Jordan Mailata is out, and Fred Johnson, who
the O-line's still compromised in a certain way. You got to look at that, and you got to figure out where is that weakness where you could, then execute something that's going to disrupt. Because they are rolling, so it's going to be a tough one for any defense.
I think one of the interesting things about this game in particular, Jacksonville sits at 2-6. At no point this season has really looked. Credit to them. A lot of people who were saying maybe Doug's time is up. It looked like they played a really tough game last week. You could say that they're playing for their coach. They lose in Green Bay. The idea of the look-ahead game, you have Dallas and Washington just around the corner in a 5-day span. You'll play Dallas on Sunday. You go against Washington on Thursday. That idea of the looking ahead on the schedule game, do you have any kind of is that something that players really think about? Or
players don't think about that.
Okay.
You're just because you're all week long, you're lasered in on the position that you're playing against. And the scheme is all focused on that one team. You don't even think about that.
How do you feel about going back to the offensive side of the ball, the aggressiveness of Nick Sirianni, more so where you're going to get, I know it's not an easy 3 points. You can't say it's an easy field goal, but more so, you're inside the 20. You go.
Riverboat Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you like the aggressiveness of instead of getting your let's even talk about both sides of the 50s, closer to midfield, going for it in a situation where, it
hasn't worked that much for him. So the odds may be in his favor now. So hopefully he doesn't stop doing it.
Okay.
I wondered, from a defensive player's perspective, like when you're thinking, just get a 3 and let us do our job,
it's 3's always good, but if they view the defense as being in position to stop and they trust that defense, I mean that's a feather in the defense's cap as well.
Yeah, I guess you could take it as a compliment and say, okay, I trust you guys.
Yeah.
I had one other question, as just to let me not. So, a local kid, Saquon Barkley, local kid from around here, he has really, in the first year, taken a leadership role in the team. And I think that's really important because you used to have the signs, run the damn ball, run the damn ball. And now, although they had serviceable guys, all guys that could run the ball, I don't think they had that guy that was the leader. And just the move he made last week said, you know what, take me out. I don't care. I want the other guys to play. And so what do you think of Saquon?
He, aside from McCaffrey, I think they're almost one and the same when McCaffrey's healthy. I mean, there's only a couple guys, those two guys, that could change the game themselves. And, being a leader is being a leader on the field, and it makes it so much easier when you're off the field because he puts it all out there every single game.
I think with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think what's a little different about the city of Philadelphia and enjoying their football is we love a good defensive football team. If our defenses are good, it feels like we want to kind of ride that lightning. You go back to, you mentioned Jim Johnson. Do you feel like maybe the defense is there at this point? It felt like communication to me, particularly prior to the bye week, and there were injuries and things of that nature, that this team was just almost shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. They've come out after that bye week, and Vic Fangio was just really I think a big part of that is Cooper DeJean. I think that kid's been incredible for being a rookie. But just do you think the defense has finally come around, and that it's that kind of defense, a defense that can actually, as opposed to being the bend but don't break, keep us in a game kind of defense, the kind that can wreak havoc and change a game a little bit now?
I do, and the defensive lineman, the Carter, and what's
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis.
Yes.
I mean, they're coming into their own. They're still young. New defense. Everybody's kind of understanding now where they have to be, and now they can really just run with reckless abandon because there's more knowledge around them of where things are.
Yes.
That guy loves himself some Eagles defense, apparently, is what's going on over there.
Quickly, we're at the Buckeye Tavern, in case you're wondering where we are today. People are having a nice time out here today, which is pretty cool. So, again, talking with Mike Mamula, what do you think at this point, best team in the NFC at this point, just not even officially halfway through yet? I mean, look, we say in the NFL, chances are you're going to say the Chiefs probably at this point, but the NFC?
I think the Eagles are on their way. I mean, they're on a roll. Kansas City's hurt, and I don't know when they're going to get healthy. So I would say the Eagles.
I like the answer. Honestly.
I'm curious because the Eagles are going to go, we mentioned Dallas and Washington. They have to go West Coast to L.A. So they've already done Brazil. They'll go to L.A. They've been on the road quite a bit. The back half of their schedule, they really just got to get on 95 or they're staying at home. They go to Baltimore. They go to Washington. They go to New York. They're home a bunch of games. How much of an advantage is that? And you have your last 2 months of the schedule where you're really not traveling that far. The travel experience of an NFL player, I think, is probably something that gets really lost on people, especially if you're doing a London game, Brazil, you're doing any of those things.
That whole Brazil thing, I'm still scratching my head over. I don't understand. I'm shocked none of the coaches fell out.
Yeah.
They're not young bucks.
But is that, I mean, you obviously your home field advantage, Lincoln Financial Field, all that stuff is true.
But it was also good that they got that done in the beginning of the season when they were learning that defense. So there was a bunch of factors were playing against them with all the travel, learning the defense. But so they were able to, stutter in a couple games and then be able to take that knowledge from that loss. And then at the same time, they're going to be at home or, like you said, around the 95 area throughout the rest of the season. So it's only building.
Is that kind of a big advantage, though, for if you know that your road game, I'm sure it's a lot. Listen, if you have to go to L.A. and Seattle and Arizona and you have to make, Phoenix was in the NFC East for a good stretch there for most time, so you had to go out there every year. Is there anything that could be to that, though, that those last 6 to 8 games, you're really not making a big Traveler is just kind of business is business. We're going to get on a bus, a plane. We'll take a unicycle if we have to.
Yeah, I mean, but being closer is better, obviously. You know, you're not dealing with any jet lag. You're not dealing with any nonsense, variables that are out of your control.
Time changes, things of that
Correct.
nature. Yeah, for sure.
Now, when you played, I don't think, was there a bye week?
There was a bye week.
There was. I couldn't remember how.
My kids were born during our bye week.
Oh, really?
Nice timing. Good timing, Mike.
Yeah, right.
Way to draw that up, buddy. That was good. That was
And
good.
then the game prior, I had 3 sacks against New England. My kids were born on December 22nd. Brought them home on Christmas Day. Then I had 2 sacks and an interception for a touchdown against Kurt Warner in the Greatest Show on Turf the week after.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
And I let a guy go in for me. They didn't block him, and he got a sack.
There you go.
Oh, good. Look at
Merry
this.
Christmas, happy birthday. What else
Man.
can you fit in there?
Heck of a
That's
3
good-
weeks.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So any concern over the Eagles, and I guess there's a couple other teams, but as a player where the bye week was taken so early in the season, now it's all, man, we've got no break coming up.
Yeah, I mean, you see with the injuries that, with the, A.J. Brown and Smith,
Yeah.
they both were able to heal through that time. So I think it was actually perfect timing.
Okay. All right.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say Mike was telling us to buy Super Bowl tickets. If
That's
I didn't
what
know-
I'm
I mean,
feeling.
he sounds like an
Yeah.
optimistic guy right now.
I do
Yeah,
feel it.
man,
Yeah.
my beer's half full.
Hey, one question,
Refill.
one question, Mike. We talked a lot about defense, and even Saquon Barkley. I think the key to any Super Bowl run for the Eagles will be Jalen Hurts and how he matures, gets healthy, and guides that offense. Where sometimes he looks scattered, but when he looks good, he's really, really good.
No, I agree, and it goes back to them really getting that offense baked in, and the Kellen Moore knowing now better than beginning of the season what's going to work with Jalen back there, what plays work, and it's I think he's going to do great.
Yeah, he's very the talent is beyond. It's just a matter of getting him plugged into the right schemes, and I think he's a great
keep
talent.
those receivers out there.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is fun. I know there was a couple weeks where it wasn't really that fun to watch the Eagles offense, but it seems like it's back to being all right. Defense, get them. Let's see what they're going to do. Second quarter on, of course. I'm speaking of not the first quarter, but now look, I love asking these questions just for fun too. Okay. The most fun atmosphere you've played in outside of Philadelphia during your career, and the least favorite atmosphere you've played.
You know what? When you're away playing, like you were saying, it's a business trip, so you don't really have fun.
Yeah.
It's not like it's work.
Yeah, right.
You have a meeting,
Yeah.
you have to eat, you go to bed.
I don't know, man. It sounds like you went to New England and had a pretty good time before that bye week, and then you had another interception the following week.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
To your point, when you have good games, those are
Yeah.
good places to play. But
That
just
makes
in
sense.
general,
Okay.
it's a game.
It is. Yeah.
Do you feel
That's it.
less pressure on the road? I know that sometimes you're at home, and
No.
the
No.
Eagle fans can be a little.
When I played, I didn't really hear anything
No.
at all. I was
Like you
just
said, business.
lasered in and
Yeah.
focused. If you're thinking about stuff and around you, you're not like focused.
Okay.
Sure.
Good
Sure.
answer.
That could lead to a lot of things, including injuries and things like that, when you're not 100%
True.
focused. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to give a big shout out to Miller Lite. Certainly, I know our Cat Country 96 Birds recap
Yep.
is brought to you by Miller Lite and
Yep.
Banko Beverage. So thank you guys for letting us do that. Again, Mike Mamula with the great Miller Lite plug. Is that where we zoned in on? We got Miller Lite
That
right
looks
there.
good.
We're getting a thumbs up from
I'm
back
getting
there.
one now.
and
See,
then-
it worked.
And a special shout out to Terry Bender, Buckeye Tavern.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And for setting us all up with this. This has been great. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mike. It's appreciated.
Yeah, this
nice
was fun.
meeting you.
This was fun.
And I guess we can wrap it up now. You guys have, you're the experts, so you know how to take this home.
Cat
Well-
Country 96, 4 o'clock tomorrow, if I'm
4
not
o'clock.
mistaken,
Yeah,
right?
remember the game was moved up a little bit, and you can hear the game on Cat Country 96 and 107.1 in the Poconos, as you can hear every Eagles game on Cat Country 96.
And go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
There we
Go
go.
Birds.
There we go.
That's the end of the Hoppy Hour, episode number 5.